Why don't I want easily breakable dishes aboard my boat? No, it's not an ocean passage or a forecast storm. The real problem is stumbling on the companionway ladder or a big wake in an anchorage. Just a few reasons that I want unbreakable dishes on my cruising boat, and you might too. Hi there, I'm Carolyn Sherlock, and on this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast, I'll share a few options for unbreakable dishes that work well on a boat, and a few things to remember when you're buying any dishes. Today's episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by Lunatek, makers of the hydration spray bottle, odor-free dishcloth, and self-cleaning washcloth. Lunatek offers practical gear designed to save water and reduce waste. A water bottle that doubles as a high-pressure sprayer for dishes? A dishcloth that doesn't get stinky? Yes, please. I love them both. Visit lunaticgear.com to learn more and use code BOATGALLEY to save 10% on everything. Lunatic, innovative gear for your outdoor adventures. So let's talk a little bit about boat dishes. I truly prefer to use unbreakable or virtually unbreakable dishes. I found that the problem with breakable items isn't so much on passage or at anchor in a squall, when the dishes are nicely tucked away in their little storage cup. No, it's having one slip out of your hand as you're going up the companionway, or setting one down for just a second on a surface without a lip, and then a fishing boat goes roaring by, kicking up a 2-foot weight and giving your boat a quick roll. And there you are, with two problems now. The immediate one is cleaning up the broken dish. Never fun, but if you're barefoot and standing in the middle of broken china, you have to be very careful not to get slivers in your feet. And if you've broken a couple of dishes, eventually you're going to have to find more. And depending on where you are, that can be a problem in and of itself. So, I opt for unbreakable dishes on the boat. Now, one quick note before we get into specifics of what you want to get, but measure your storage cubby before buying dishes. On many older boats, such as our first boat, Kaytala, the cubby was not designed for the supersized plates that are available today. Many times what are sold as lunch plates actually fit better, and they help keep portion sizes in check. Square plates, when they're available, can also save some space or make better use of it. Okay, let's go back to the unbreakable dishes. There's basically three types. The first is plastic or aluminum camping dish sets. These work, but nobody's going to be really thrilled about them. They're not that great for any more than very occasional use. A decent set of dishes doesn't cost much more, and they make boat living seem much more like home and less like making do. Now, I don't recommend these as the camping dishes, that is, as the other choices are just so much better. I also don't recommend using disposable dishes like paper dishes on environmental grounds. Plus, they just add to the trash management problem on board. Okay, the second option here is melamine. Melamine tableware has come a long way from the Melmac of my youth. The two big advantages of it for boat dishes are that it's very lightweight and it has bright colors and wonderful patterns. It's generally available as both solid colors and cool-looking patterns. But melamine doesn't claim to be totally unbreakable, but rather that it's far more durable than anything else. I've never had melamine break any time that I've ever used it. But the first disadvantage of it is that it cannot be used in a microwave. Now, this isn't a problem if you don't have a microwave on your boat, but if you do put it in the microwave, it will bubble up and turn black. You will not want to eat anything that was on that plate. But the second and the bigger disadvantage is that it shows wear very, very quickly. Kaytala came with a set of melamine dishes, and knife marks marred the surface just a few months in. And then I noticed that the design was getting duller and duller just from washing the dishes day after day. Now, the plates were still perfectly usable. They just didn't look so good. And as it wears, melamine will also stain. Coffee, tea, beets were the big culprits for me. I had to use a mild bleach solution to get the white parts looking white again. For these reasons, I don't recommend using melamine for anything more than just very occasional use. There are a lot of cute sets available, so, if you think you want it, go ahead and go looking. There's lots on Amazon. It's pretty cool. What I use instead and really like is Corelle. That's been my choice on both our first boat and now here on Barefoot Gal. It looks and it feels like real tableware and not something you're making do with. It is almost unbreakable. The part is, though, if it does break, it will shatter. However, in 20-some, actually more than that, I've probably used Corelle 40 years out of my life between various apartments and one thing and another. I've had 2 dishes break. One basically just had a very nice clean break in two. The second one shattered all over the place, and that is the real problem. However, I have found it to be the best thing that I have been able to come up with to date. So I recommend it, but yeah, there is one, if you ever really drop it onto something where it shatters, it is going to be a problem. It comes in a wide variety of colors and patterns, and it still looks good after years of use. It just doesn't show cut marks from anything, doesn't fade, anything like that. Most stores will sell Corelle in sets for 4, as well as in individual pieces. The sets seem to be a good deal, but think about what pieces you'll actually use. I found that I used the dinner and the salad plates, but the included bowl was really too shallow for soup and cereal. The liquid would slop out of the bowl with the motion of the boat, and I really didn't like the mugs that they gave with it either. They wouldn't fit into the drink holders on our boat. I ended up buying separate pieces and was very happy with what I get. The little white bowls that you can get as odd little pieces work really well for serving dishes, and the bigger bowls work much better for soup and so forth because they are deep enough that if you put soup in, say, the bottom inch of it, it won't slop out. Now, also, even though there were only 2 of us aboard, I found that a set for 4 just wasn't sufficient. We might only have 4 people aboard if we invited some guests over, Dave and I and another couple. But I would usually want a couple extra dishes to use for serving or for food prep. I found that really I wanted a set of 8 for anything. So you might think about that as you're buying it. Corelle also has a wide variety of serving dishes, and how many of these you find useful is probably going to depend on the size of your boat and the amount of storage that you have. For me, I prefer to use the additional plates and bowls as the serving dishes instead of trying to carry some specialized dishes. They fit better basically in with everything else. They store easier and they work perfectly well. Also, you may want to think a little bit about your design choices. I've chosen the plain white round plates for a couple of reasons. I enjoy buying textiles as we travel, and so plates on pretty much anything still looks okay. Also, Corelle has been making the same round winter white plates and the matching serving dishes forever. I had the same ones basically 40 years ago when I was in grad school. You can always get more that will match. And that for me was one of the big things, is that I just want stuff that's all going to work together. The other thing about Corelle is that it doesn't have a non-slip bottom surface. And the easy way that you can just quick fix this is to put a little bit of silicone sealant on the bottom, spread it out so it's nice and smooth and flat, let it dry, and then it'll be totally non-slip when you set it down. You can also buy non-slip placemats, and that'll stop plates from slipping around. That's it for today. I hope you found this interesting. Please tell your friends about the Boat Galley podcast, and be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Thanks. It's from the Boat Galley, making your boat life better.